So I was just commenting on somebody's video that said, should we defend ourselves and fight against evil people that mean to do us harm? And the comments were, Jesus said, "Sell all that you have and buy a sword," and all these other things. And I just left a comment saying First and Second Maccabees, and the creator of this channel, which was a very popular channel, said those aren't even scripture. Now, I don't know if you know what this is, but this is First, Second Maccabees, as well as like up to the eighth book of Maccabees. And just at the beginning of this, just the beginning, the first couple of pages, you find out that people were forcing the Israelites to go to like the temple where God's holy of holies basically was, and bow down before idols and like eat unclean foods and sacrifice unclean foods like pigs and stuff like that at the altar of an idol in the temple. Okay, in any book that you would ever read that's scriptural, that is an okay thing to protect God's temple and to live a holy life and to honor the Ten Commandments. And this happened. This book is a historical document, and it says that the first book of Maccabees, it's written in Hebrew, and then the second one was only found in the Greek. But this happened in 124 BC, which is before Christ, because we count time because Jesus came down, which people don't even admit Jesus was alive. Some people, and that's insane to me as well. But First and Second Maccabees is apocryphal in Catholic Bibles, Orthodox Bibles, and not in Protestant Bibles, but and also in the Coptic churches they accept it as well. So, and I've been doing all these past few shows about the fact that Apocrypha means hidden. And for whatever reason, Protestants will not accept anything that is not in the 66 book canon. And I didn't finish reading the 114 sayings that are in Thomas, but we've gotten to like number 40, I think. But one of the things that are in the sayings is they said 24 elders, the disciples said to Jesus, 24 elders spoke in Israel, and they were speaking of you. And Jesus says, why do you speak of the dead when the living one isn't right in front of you? And what he's saying is, Jesus in his fullness, because the man represents the fullness of the word. If you take all the books removed and you put them back on his body, like if he was like a husk of a man, his crucified body, and you take all the books and you put them back on him, he is the living one that is right in front of you. But they insist upon only the dead carcass, which is the canon, which is the 66 books, which is what men have done to his word and taken it and made it into just the stuff that's left over that they accept, because it doesn't have as much substance. Because if you take Job and then you take the Testament of Job, you realize the Testament of Job adds all this detail to Job. They're companions. If you take the first book of Adam and Eve, and then you take like the Cave of Treasures in the second book of Adam and Eve, and you add it back to Genesis, you totally understand all the stuff that happened. It makes so much more sense. It makes it like so much more sense. Then you just go back in time and you read the Palestinian Aramaic Targums, which is the first translation when after the diaspora, when they came back into the land, which is kind of like what's happening here, where Israel was destroyed and you're coming back and rebuilding it, and nobody knew how to speak the language anymore because they were all in Babylon. So when they come back, they speak Aramaic, but which is what the Passion of the Christ is actually spoken in. So that's factual. You can look it up. And yet they don't accept the fact that that happened. They don't even realize that the old version of the Bible has been changed. And in the original, it says that Cain is Satan's son. Why would they want to hide that? That's their power. They just hide the fact that it's true. And the people that came against Judas Maccabeus in this, and that's why it's called the Maccabees, is because that's their last name. So Judas, even though Judas was Jesus's bad disciple, there's other people that can be named Judas besides him. And Judas Maccabeus was a warrior, like a psychotically awesome warrior that makes Braveheart look like nothing. And he had these amazing battles where it was like him and like 50 other dudes who were starving to death because they wouldn't eat on the Sabbath. They were observing the Sabbath the way that the Israelites did back then. And these people are like killing the babies of the mothers who circumcise their children, because that is a symbolic thing for the children of Israel, because it's a spiritual thing. So you're supposed to physically circumcise your children as a spiritual maxim. So they took their babies, killed the babies, and wrapped them around the mother's necks and made them walk around with the babies around their necks. So Judas says enough is enough. After they go and sacrifice at the temple, his dad walks up to the dude that's about to sacrifice, who's an Israelite, and kills the guy and kills all the people that are like soldiers and stuff. And him and his whole family have to drop all their belongings, everything they own, and run up and live in the woods. And that was my comment. It was to say that that's a book that you should read to show that, yes, we should fight back against evil people. And I get that's not scripture. How in the heck are we as Christians, Christian people, supposed to fight against evil when we can't even accept books that are clearly scriptural? We all serve Yahweh. We all serve God. We all serve Jesus Christ, his son that died on the cross for us, who is God. And you can't, look, you didn't even read it. How wise can you be if you didn't even read the book? You don't even know what it's about. It's not scripture, but you didn't even open it. You didn't even read the preface. You didn't even try to understand if it was true or not. You just say it's not scripture. And you don't even know what it says, so you don't even know what I'm saying. And that's the problem with our current church. That is the problem, is that people, they go to a sermon, they listen to somebody say one sentence that Paul said, they take it fully out of context because they don't even understand what Paul was saying, and then they sing a bunch of songs. And that is not giving you the meat of the word. That is not going to change this world. None of it is. So I'm just sort of venting, but I'm also disgusted. I'm absolutely putridly disgusted with people that ignore something before they even give it any type of a look. You didn't even look to see what it was. And I would encourage anybody that is a Christian to read this book. It is historical. It's what happened to God's people. It shows you what happens when evil countries who worship idols come against people of God, and what God allows his people to do to them because they are doing evil things, and how a very small, tiny army of God can take over entire vast armies. And not only that, but they created peace among the nations that were around them. They created peace among the Spartans and all the other people, in Greece and all these other people. They were at peace with them. But all these people that are ruling the country right now, all they want is war. And God's going to allow it because this needs to get preached once more to the nations. And he said it's going to happen. So I hope if you have a chance that you get to read 1st, 2nd Maccabees. It's part of the Apocrypha, which means hidden. Or you can buy this entire book, which has all 8 of them in it at Sacred Word Publishing. I don't get anything from it. I'm just telling you, if you want to read it, that's where it is. God bless and have a great day.